Good evening, everyone, especially to our instructor, Miss Kylie Maybelani. Good evening, ma'am. So, my topic this evening is about the trends and issues in materials for speaking. Current trends in teaching speaking. Teaching speaking. The emergence of communicative competence and proficiency in the 1980s changed the way the languages were taught. It led to a new ways of designing lesson plans and teaching methods that focused more on practical communication skills. So these changes have had a lasting impact on language education even now. So this means that teaching speaking became different in the 1980s when people started to focus more on how to communicate effectively in real life situations. So this is called communicative competence and proficiency. Before, language lessons used to be focused on memorizing grammar rules and vocabulary, but now it's more about learning how to actually use the language to talk and understand others. So it's more on like application activities like role play, simulation, and etc. You know, it's about learning how to communicate effectively and can be applied in the real life situation. So communicative competence refers to both the tacit knowledge of a language and the ability to use it effectively. That is what communicative competence means. Teaching techniques borrowed from cooperative learning activities became a valuable source of ideas for language teaching. So, cooperative learning means an instructional method in which students work in small groups to accomplish a common learning goal. So, in simple words, cooperative learning activities is a group activity. So by working in groups, students have the opportunity to practice their speaking skills in a supportive environment. They can take turns speaking, listening to their peers, and provide feedback to each other. So this not only helps them improve their speaking abilities, but also promotes teamwork and cooperation. Two heads are better than one. So, current trends in teaching speaking. The idea of English as international language has led to a shift in how we understand communicative competence. So, in short, if you know how to speak English, because we all know that English is the universal language or the international language, uh, you can be called a communicative competence, or you have the ability to speak universally because you know English. And it now includes the importance of intercultural competence, which refers to the ability to communicate effectively and appropriately in diverse cultural contexts. So if you know the international language, English, if you are automatically be called as a communicative competent person. And if you are a communicative competent person, you intercultural competence is included. No, it encompasses the intercultural competence, which refers to the ability to communicate effectively and appropriately in diverse contexts. So it recognizes English. It recognizes that English is not just used by native speakers but also by people from different cultural backgrounds around the world. It highlights the importance of understanding and respecting cultural differences while communicating English. That is what intercultural competence means. So, uh, developing intercultural competence in language teaching involves exposing students to diverse cultural perspectives, discussing cultural differences, and encouraging open-mindedness and empathy towards others. This helps students become more effective communicators not only in English but also in cross-cultural interactions. So, in summary, the concept of English as international language has expanded the notion of communicative competence to include intercultural competence. That was what I said earlier. Uh, if you are, if you know how to speak English as the universal language, you will automatically be called as a communicative competent person, and this includes the the intercultural competence as well. So this highlights the importance of understanding and respecting cultural differences while communicating in English. Developing intercultural competence in language teaching promotes effective communication in diverse cultural contexts. So like you are traveling in Japan. Japan is a foreign country, and in a foreign country they use only English for international conference, or just an option if they meet some foreigners also. For example, an American person travel to Japan, then and of course, because Japanese people, most of the Japanese people know how to speak English, they will use English to be able to communicate the American person effectively. And because of that, by using language, and language is a tool for communication, we can share ideas. Express our ideas, our thoughts and opinions with each other, and also we can understand the culture of other people by talking with understanding. That's why we must use the international language, the English, so that the people can understand each other. That's an example of developing intercultural competence. So the next one will be reported to my partner. The current approaches to the teaching of speaking, thus reflecting the following principles. So this report will be reported by Jabel Francis, a first year English student. So that's all about my report. Thank you.